Okay, never mind.
John,
I think, what the hell is this thing you posted here?
Oh, that's the bracket that I did for Cornell.
That's pretty. Looks pretty good, man.
I had to make some adjustments.
Brackets aren't that difficult to make, you know.
Well, yeah, I can talk about it. I tried to, like, with very little. I was actually filling in for someone.
What is hard?
What's that?
Programming a bracket. I've tried. That's
really
kind of difficult. Yeah.
There's many websites that do it, so you can just link to them.
I know. Challenge. That's what we always
Challenge.
use.
I tried a bunch and I couldn't make it work.
Challenge. We use that for our. We used to have in-house StarCraft tournaments. That's what we always used.
Nerds.
Cool. Yep. We are nerds. We play freaking StarCraft way back when.
With very little. I was.
All right, you guys ready? We all
ready.
Recording, right?
Sure.
We're all doing this. Are we live
on the YouTube?
We are.
Is there audio? That's the real question.
There is audio. I'm hearing it right now.
There is audio.
Gosh. Are we going to be corrected by some dudes about our New World?
Absolutely.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
What about?
About being wrong.
Being wrong about New World, or at least not knowing. How about that?
Yep.
I wouldn't say that. Aside from my Frost Glaive comment, I don't think we were quote wrong. I think we were just.
I didn't catch this.
Well, actually,
what was the Frost Glaive comment?
No,
it was just last week.
It's not Frost Glaive. It's Frost Glove.
So a glaive is like a medieval polearm weapon.
Yeah.
You know what? A glaive is absolutely like a throwing star that has like little dragon claws that come out.
No, it's LeGrande. It's Frost Morn. That's the name of the sword.
Oh, I was way off. I think I was trying to say Frost Glove.
You were,
and it said glaive because it's kind of like to blave is to bluff.
To blave.
You know?
420 blave it.
Yeah.
That'd be a good meme.
To glaive.
That's a freebie for you.
To glove.
Glaive it up, baby.
All right.
Oh, Jeremy's ready. Jeremy's done with this bullshit.
I always feel bad. Jared's like, I don't know. He's so old and tired.
Jerod chooses this lifestyle.
Live by the podcast. Die by the podcast.
And it's a slow death by the podcast. It's slow.
Okay.
Here's what a glaive looks like, y'all.
It's kind of
God,
like
yeah, I got the internet right here, dude. I don't need your freaking paper books.
It's on like a 4-foot pole.
What's the difference between that and a bardiche?
A bardiche is a 17th century large-headed axe. It was actually designed so that the musketeers could put their guns on it and rest it. There was like a Eastern Europe Russian weapon.
Athos,
dude, that sounds sick.
Aramis.
I think we should get some bardiches in
So
here.
you have both your bardiche and your musket, and then you stick the bardiche into the ground, then you balance your musket. On
Yes, and remember back then, breech-loading rifles or smoothbores were very slow, so you would find yourself in combat. And so instead of having, say, a bayonet, these guys had giant axes.
This is why I don't wage war. It's just so complicated. Like I'm just
by
the time I get started, I'm so tired already.
You got to know how to swing an axe and shoot a gun. Like, come on.
Listen, it's fine. All right, we ready for this?
Been ready. Born ready.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
I didn't clap at all.
Well, tell me what the timestamp is.
You didn't?
No. 9.
Did you really not?
The timestamp of when you didn't clap.
9:33.
You're making it up.
No, I'm looking at it right now. No, 9:29. Sorry.
You didn't clap at all?
No, I was so distracted.
Okay, we're doing it again because
I was thinking
that ruins the whole thing.
I was thinking of bardiches.
No, because it's not gonna line up the same. We're gonna do it again, unless you feel confident. But I would love to talk over Jerod
with
Jared's final version of this.
It doesn't work anyway.
Jared's got like the weirdest microphone somehow, so he has to tell me the timestamp because the clap doesn't show up.
Really?
Oh right, yeah. That's the thing anyway.
It's because he's got that weird Discord thing turned on, noise suppression.
I know.
And cranked up.
He's got to figure out where that keyboard suppression button is.
Wait,
that's right.
Did mine peg out?
Clackety clickety clackety.
I'm sure it did.
It's fine.
All right.
Okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Game Bytes Show. It is October the 11th, 2021. We are here yet again, all four of us in the house. My name is LeGrande Jolly. This evening, I'm joined by Jeremy Lamont. Hello, Jeremy.
Hey, everybody, it's fall. Jump in a pile of leaves.
Welcome to the show, Jeremy. I'm glad you're here.
Have like a warm cider or something. Like that's what you should do.
Have a pumpkin cold brew from Starbucks.
Do that.
Yeah. And there's Dale Jones. Hello, Dale.
Hey, on the leaves, on the subject of leaves, we have one big tree out front that seems to lose its leaves before every other big tree on the street. I think it's because ours is maybe 3 or 4 feet in elevation higher than the rest because of the way the hill kind of goes down a little bit.
So
anyway,
it
I
catches
was
that
out
little
there-
draft on top and it goes, woo!
Yeah, exactly. I was out there earlier today with my leaf blower extension to my like all-in-one yard tool thing.
Nice.
Yeah, dude. I got
blowing
one of
those
those.
leaves away. It was pretty cool.
You just blow the leaves into the neighbor's yard.
No, I just blow them in the street.
I mowed my lawn, I think, hopefully for the last time this season today.
It's gonna snow soon. I gotta get on that.
Yeah. And Jerod Dunn. Hello, Jerod.
Jerod doesn't do any yard work. He's got too many scorpions.
No, I'm gonna have
You
to
can't
mow my
just wave
lawn
to
a
the
few
video
more times.
people. You can't wave to the video people. You need to talk to the
Jerod is
podcast
clearly
people, too.
showing favoritism.
Waves in audio.
Yeah.
If y'all aren't watching this on YouTube, you missed our Jerod intro, by the way, if you didn't know.
You know, I was just thinking, you guys are like, oh, last time I have to mow. I've got like another month and a half at least.
I
Yeah, how's the
thought
weather
I was
down there?
done mowing, I don't know, a month ago, but it's kept growing and it could probably use it again.
I mean, frankly, you can be done mowing anytime your heart desires. Like if
That's
you
true.
really want to.
if you're brave enough.
Yeah.
Just stop.
Listen, it was so nice today. This morning, I got out and I mowed the lawn. I took time off of work just because.
Wow.
And I got out and I was mowing the lawn. And then this afternoon, I got to football practice and it was raining and freaking cold. Sucked.
Good. Builds character,
Yeah.
especially
right.
in
It
small
did.
children.
I got like, 15, 11-year-olds
susceptible
outside
to
freezing their
illness.
asses off. Yeah, it was okay though. It's
You know
okay.
what?
The weather is changing here in Salt Lake
I
City,
took
Utah.
the day off too. The
Oh my
wife
gosh,
and
what'd you do?
The wife and I took the whole weekend off and shipped the kids out somewhere. I don't
It's
know.
your anniversary. Happy anniversary.
It was, and it was
It was
our
also
anniversary
mine. I
celebration.
remember this. I remember this because
Mhm.
we share an anniversary, I believe, right? October 5th?
October 5th.
Hell yeah, dude.
guys.
We share an
That's a hell of a
anniversary.
coincidence.
We should get together sometime and celebrate
Without our wives.
without our wives on our anniversary.
You can have your own anniversary.
Yeah, we also took the weekend off, and that's partially why I took time off. Because it's like, man, why not? I'll just tack it on because we couldn't properly celebrate in the middle of the week, right, Jerry?
Yeah, it's no, and you got like kids and like school and football practice and
right,
band.
exactly all those things. Couldn't do it.
Ain't nobody got
So,
time for.
We
Ain't no
celebrated
one
this
got time for
weekend.
that. Yeah, that's right. So, what's really funny is I took last Friday off too, but I've been working so much overtime that I actually didn't have to use any vacation.
Whoa.
Oh, nice.
It's stupid. I hate it.
It is stupid.
Yeah, I got like
You're
so
living
much
wrong.
like time off saved up. I could just probably take the next month off if I wanted to and just say, hey, see you guys.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
I'm responsible. I'm responsible with my time off. But anyway, guys, I did play some video games over the last week. I
Whoa.
tried out a couple new games. Both of
yeah.
these are on Game Pass, and both of them I played on xCloud, and then I actually downloaded them both after the fact. But after Jeremy's discussion about Scarlet Nexus, it's something that I always kind of wanted to try out, and so I fired it up, and I probably played a good 4 hours, 5 hours of it. It's got some anime bullshit, and it's
Yeah.
got some fun combat. The combat is, and I don't want to talk too much about it. I will just give my overall impressions. I really have fun doing the combat. Like, it's really good. And I like the way that you're not like a specific element, but your party members lend you their powers. Like Lightning Man gives you lightning attacks and whatever. So I really like how the combat flows really, really nicely. And the team, having like a party there with you is kind of cool, even though you don't directly control them, but you piggyback off them. Throwing stuff around is very, very satisfying. The combat, though, feels you have to be it's not like a button mashy combat, or else you'll get beat up because the enemies don't like stagger when you hit them.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
feel
like
like
you'll
it's
hit
a
'em a few
loosey-goosey,
times.
Actually, it seems
Yeah.
like it could be a little tighter just in
It
general.
could be better, but I think it's supposed to be played more deliberate. where you make a few attacks, dodge away, chuck a car at a guy, and then dodge back in and attack, and
Yeah.
whatever.
I like how they do the thing where you can do a combo off of either, like you can attack and then do a combo immediately with your psychic powers, or
and
do
loop
it the
them
other way.
continuously,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But just make sure you got to watch their attack animations. You don't get hit in the middle of your combo and knocked out of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like it. The anime stuff is, I mean, the story's, it's fine,
All right. I think the setting is all right.
Yeah, the setting's okay. It seems like that they reuse, and this is the reason why the game is so small from a file size perspective. It's only like 16 gigs on PC, which is by today's standards pretty small, especially for like a higher end AAA title like this, like an actual action game like this. But they reuse a lot of the same assets. It seems like there's a lot of asset reuse, even in the levels. It's like I found side quests like, hey, go back to that area where you were, or oh, now that we finished this zone, and you probably remember this quest, Jeremy. It's like, hey, we're gonna go do training, and oh, by the way, it's in the exact same place where you just were. And I'm like, oh,
so
gosh,
it's not as much that they reuse assets, but they have like bespoke places in the world, like on the map, and it's like, oh, we're gonna go back there again. Okay, all right.
Yeah, and whatever.
Except the objective is different now, or whatever.
And it's okay. I mean, the enemy types are changing up, and the combat is satisfying, and the story is anime, and whatever. But I'm having a pretty good time with it. I haven't fired it up for a few days, but whatever, it is what it is.
I would like to go back to it.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. And it's one of those games where I played it on xCloud, and I was like, wow, I really like this. I'm actually going to install. Like, I'm almost using xCloud to demo games, and then if I like them, I'll install them and then play them, the way they were meant to be played. But it feels, and you can tell, like I can tell an immediate difference on, when you're playing at full resolution with an installed game. But the xCloud experience, as far as the responsiveness of the controls, is good enough where I can get a feel for the game, and if I really like it, I install it and play it from my hard drive. So I think that xCloud is serving its purpose for me. I've had less than optimal experience playing over Wi-Fi networks. Even in my own Wi-Fi here in my house, it seems like I would rather it, like on my wired PC that's hardwired into my router, like it does really, really well, and you can barely notice the latency. But when I play wired, even sitting in my own house, like on my laptop or on my phone or whatever, I get some lag, which I don't like, or it's choppy sometimes, or it skips.
Yeah, every once in a while.
Yeah. So best way to play this would be wired in with some sort of a device. But anyway,
but
I also fired
it's also
up,
not like button perfect. Like it doesn't require a lot of like precision combat too. So I think you can sort of get away with it.
But in general, I'm talking about in general with games. Across xCloud, it's fine. I would never play. Well, I don't know, on my wired PC, I would probably be able to get away with some sort of a competitive game. I would not be able to do that like on a wired on my phone or whatever. Yeah. Even on my phone on my wireless network in my house, like it wouldn't. It's not the same. Anyway, I also fired up on xCloud A Plague's Tale: Innocence, which is a game that has rats in it.
Now this is a sequel, right? Because there was the first one that was just A Plague Tale.
That's the first one.
Oh, is that this one? Okay,
I think I have no idea. I think it's the first one, but
I think they are coming out with a sequel at some point, though.
Okay.
It's a game where I've only played this maybe an hour, so I don't want to talk too much. I'll probably get more into it next week if I end up playing a bunch more of it. But it's an interesting game where it takes place like during the plague, like the Black Plague time, it seems, where you are a girl, and you are like part of, your dad is like the lord of this.
Yeah, like you're a noble family.
You're like a noble family. And something happens where your little brother is like sick, and your mom has been trying to find a cure for your little brother. And I think that they attack you, like the plague happens. So everyone's like freaking paranoid about sickness and stuff. And so they attack your castle or whatever, and you have to like run away, because I think they were trying to blame like your little brother for like causing the plague, basically, because he's sick and everyone knows it. Anyway, so it turns into kind of this, and I haven't played very much of it, but it kind of turns into this eco or whatever type of game, or like an escort type of game where you girl and your little brother, like you walk around holding his hand, and you move them around and you take them places, and you're hiding in tall grass from enemies. You're, sneaking around. You're sending him off to go do. He's small, so he can get into small areas and unlock doors for you and stuff like that. So it's definitely not a combat heavy game, but it's more, at least from my perspective, in the first hour, it's going to be a very narrative driven experience. And it's a pretty dark game. It's got a lot of weird, crazy moments that happen. Did you play it, Jeremy?
Yeah, I did. And
I
I
didn't know
think
that.
there's I don't think I actually ended up talking about it on the show. It was a couple of years ago.
I don't think
when it
so.
first
I don't
came
think
out.
any of us have talked about it.
But it sort of ascribes kind of this supernatural thing to the plague. Like, okay, here's, it's sort of a historical fiction fantasy kind of thing. And then also the kind of the meat and potatoes of the game is there's these rats, and I don't know if you've gotten to that
Not yet.
that part yet, but yeah, the whole thing is about these all-consuming waves of
Oh
rats.
yeah. Though they ate your dog at the beginning.
You're gonna find that
Yeah.
there are, that's a big theme, is that it's like, okay, the rats are kind of repelled by torchlight or fire or whatever, and so you have like areas where it's like if you get into the rat area, the rats will just kill you, and so you have to kind of find ways to traverse, fairly simple terrain, but it's complicated because now there's rats. And there's some light kind of combat-y sorts of things, and it reminds me a little bit, and correct me if I'm wrong because it's been a while, my memory of it is it's kind of like a little bit The Last of Us, just kind of in terms of how you kind of run around and duck behind things,
but less combat-y.
Yeah, a lot less yeah, exactly, yeah. So it's more
it kind
about,
of feels like it's like an escort mission, but it's not annoying because you don't have to wait for somebody. You just drag them along with you.
Yeah.
It's that type of situation.
yeah, exactly.
The
I
same
think
way
you
that
keep
Last
playing
of
it.
Us was not an annoying escort mission, right?
Yeah, exactly. Ellie was always yep, exactly. So I'd go back and try it. I never actually finished it.
I'm not done. I'm still gonna play it.
I'd like to hear about it more in detail next week.
Yeah, I'm going to be installing it because again, I tried it on xCloud. It was sufficient, but darks are not dark when you're streaming, and there's certain things that game is a pretty dark game, and I think it would benefit from having,
A darker
every game
palette.
would benefit from being installed on your computer rather than streaming over xCloud, quite honestly. And that's no fault of xCloud; it's fault of technology at this point, I guess. But anyway, so yeah, I'll play some more of that and talk about it a little bit later.
Okay.
And then also, I'm going to share another game with Jerod again. Jerod.
On account of you guys.
And before you go on, I'm gonna let you finish. But New World is a game, and I think I might be falling off of New World until I might check it out later because it's an MMO, but there's no subscription, so I can just pop in whenever.
Yeah.
But it is a game that does not respect your time as a player, and that really pisses me off. It got to the point where it's like, hey, here's a quest, run over there. Oh, and by the way, it's gonna take you 20 minutes to get there. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll run over there. And I run over there and it's like, okay, I got the thing. And I walked right in. There was no like complicated anything. It's like I walk up, I killed one dude. There was a chest there. I got the item out of the chest. I was like, okay, your next step on this quest is to go back to the guy that gave you the quest. And it's another 20-minute freaking walk back to where he was. And I was like, okay, like I just I don't have the time. This game does not respect my time as a player. Like it's padding out the game by just making you walk way too much. And everyone that I talk to has this complaint about the game. And I am not willing to trudge my way through New World right now, the way that it stands, without being able to travel better. And it's just a chore, especially when it's like, and again, I talked about it last week, like the game is beautiful and it's fun going through and the crafting is fun and the harvesting is cool and the combat's all right and the story's stupid, but it's a cool world to be in. But when you're trying to just make progress through the game and do stuff, it's like, okay, well, I guess I'll do some more of these story quests, and I got to run for 20 minutes and then run back for 20 minutes. Like turning in one quest took me legit 40 minutes, and the actual quest content of that was such a small portion of that 40 minutes.
The
that I was
real
like, okay,
quest was making you sit there and sit through all that.
I really feel like there's a good social experiment built.
I was going to say it's a social experiment.
Because
well, you know
the thing
what?
is, like,
didn't work on me. I'm out. I think I'm out for now until I just don't want to do that, man. I can't. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I think Jerod you probably agree with me.
Yeah. So the feeling
Maybe you're not out, but you probably agree
I
with
mean,
that at
I
least that
jump
point.
in and I kind of fuss around with it a bit here and there. The impression I have gathered so far in my up to like level 20 leveling, so I think third of the way through.
I'm like level 18.
Yeah, is this game is made for the end game content, and it's made for the PvP full scale war, and everything getting up to it is like, hey, we threw some systems in place to kind of get you there, and it's all kind of just.
I feel like then you should just make the
Half-thought.
game that's about that. Like just sign into like a
Yeah.
free-for-all server and just fight.
Well, yeah. So I
Well, the problem is like there's no reason for you to drag that stuff out. Like there's no
Right.
reason. Like
Right.
if the point is to get to the end game, then allow me to get to the end game. Like I will gladly like grind out an MMO as long as I feel like I'm making continual progress and it's fun. But as soon as like, okay, fun time's over, now it's run time. Like I'm done, man. Like I can't do it. Can't do it.
yeah.
Like Guild Wars, for example. Like Guild Wars, you can teleport anywhere. And same with Final Fantasy 14. Like you want to go
Yep.
somewhere? Cool. Click a button and you're there. Like there is no
Yep.
travel. I mean, there's travel when you get to a new zone, but that zone does not. But they're like sending you on little quests. That
Yeah,
are
and you're like
close
looking
by,
around
and you're making
and-
it progress. You're progressing through
Yeah.
a zone. And this, it was like there's 3 starter zones that are from like level 1 to 25. And to run from one end of one to the other is a 40-minute run.
And the other thing
And it
is,
sends you there to do those things.
even
and then
when
back.
even when you get there, the fast travel system is really expensive. Like it's this currency you don't get very frequently. So, whereas
I'm actually maxed out on that currency. You get it from doing your Covenant quests or the whatever.
okay, I've used all mine up doing
I'm
fast
maxed
travel,
out
and
on
I
that
don't have
currency.
enough to fast travel now. So
You
I'm
can
like,
only have 1,000 of it, but you can't fast travel somewhere unless you've actually been there.
which
So
I'm okay with because like Guild Wars does that too. You have to have gone to the place initially and then you can travel there, right? Like that's kind of how it
Sure.
works. And that's fine. Like, okay, so you want me to explore the world a little bit but the cost in that game is negligible. Like it's no big deal. If I want to go to a place and do a thing, you just go to that place. Like you don't even
by
think
the way,
about
that currency is also for other things in the game too,
it. Right.
such as crafting. If you want your crafting to work out better, you have
Yeah.
to spend that currency on it.
Yeah, so it's just a weird economy, and the other thing that kind of got me is once I finally did run to the next zone to start doing missions, none of the storage is linked from town to town. So I was like, oh,
Really?
I'm gonna craft some stuff, and it was like, oh no, you got to go back. I'm like, no,
Like all your shit's in the other town.
Where did
that
I
you
leave that pile of sticks?
yeah,
And you can browse your inventory in every village that you've been to. You just can't
Yeah.
take any of it out.
Wouldn't that be funny if they let you like browse it but not access it?
That's what I just said.
that's
Oh,
what
really?
it
Access
is.
it unless you're in the city.
Oh,
You can
okay.
browse it. Like,
But you can't get-
where did I leave that pile of
Wow.
iron ingots? Like,
Oh,
it's
it's
in
That
that city,
is
so I
a
guess I better
high
travel
key.
there.
And
that's
so
a high key taunt.
yeah, and I kind of went to like
That's what I
craft
mean
something.
by like not respecting your time. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
now you got to spend all this time going back there to get the. Like, it's just, I don't know. That stuff is like rookie MMO mistakes, in my opinion. Like,
You know, that's kind of the impression I get with this game is it feels like the first game a company's put out.
Oh,
weird.
Yeah. And they picked a really kind of hard genre to start with.
complicated.
Yeah. Like there's no swim animation. Your guy just walks on the floor.
Oh, dude, the water is so good. There's no
And-
swimming, so when you go, you guys remember on Highlander
Dude,
when he
Morrowind
like
has
goes
some-
into the water, he like knocks him off the boat. Sean Connery does, and then he like just walks out of the water because he can
Yeah.
breathe underwater.
Yeah.
It's basically that.
It's
Like,
that.
you don't swim.
Except-
he just stomps his way through the water, underneath the water, and just walks slowly.
Except in this game, you can't breathe underwater. You like have a
Right.
meter that like ticks down, but you can't swim up to breathe.
Yeah.
So you
You know what
just
the
like
best
drown.
part is? It's when you're when you gotta like go gather like a something that's in the water, and you reach down to gather it, but
And
your
you're-
head goes under the
yeah.
water, so all of a sudden your breath starts going down as you're like trying to pick these flowers. I'm like, okay,
This gives me that Sonic the Hedgehog underwater anxiety.
oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, so it's just like
There's
really
been no water that's been big enough to matter, but
No,
It's so
it's
weird.
not, but it's very strange, and it just feels like a quarter baked. You know what I mean?
Order
Like
baked. Wow.
some of the ideas and the things are cool, but then like the rest of it, you're like, they use the same enemies in like every zone, and it just renames them based on where you're at.
Red
It's like
wolf.
it's like
Gray
the
wolf.
ultimate Diablo style.
Exactly. Wolf is an example of this.
I
Yeah.
know. I played it.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, exactly. Well, there's wolves in every area, and they're called Gray Wolf and Wolf of the High Point and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like the undead guys. They're like the same undead guys in every little burned
and they
out
do the
village.
exact same things.
Wait, there's undead guys in this new world? I'm going back to the old world.
Dude, I would. It's probably best.
Well, the undead
Um,
guys are guys that went to the new world, but they got corrupted by the.
By
Right.
the Gold.
Deep lore.
Inca's gold. or
So
Yeah, the
Speak-
corruption.
speaking about
It's such a clever story. Like the corruption is corrupting things, and you need
Yep.
to stop the corruption.
that's right.
Pretty good.
Good story. But speaking of the old world, the other game I've been playing is Ultima Online Outlands, which also doesn't really respect your time
old
too
one?
much.
All right,
Um,
listen. Now I understand why Jeremy is so mad at me whenever I talk about Hunt Showdown and or Final Fantasy and or Diablo 3 and or Heroes of the Storm. I'm just
Jared,
throw it
go
out
on.
there.
Tell me about Ultimate.
Go on,
Tell
Jared.
that.
I'm gonna go get me a drink.
All right. See ya. So all I really want to say is I've been exploring some of the other systems that they've developed in this game on top of the original UO systems. One of which is called the Echo system, which is really cool. So you take a character and you spend a lot of time on it. You develop skills, and like you have like these other experience gains you've been doing, like your mastery chain and your aspects. You've been leveling all this stuff up. You've been getting like name recognition. People like recognize you, right? And then you're like, oh, but I want him to now be, instead of a warrior, I want him to be a mage, right? Or whatever. I want to play a mage. So what? You go create a new character. You start over on everything, blah, blah, blah. Well, no. In Outlands, they developed a system called Echoes. So basically you pay for it, and they're kind of expensive. It's like 1 million gold, or, there's other
Million
currencies.
gold?
Yeah. And which takes a while to get. But basically what it lets you do is it lets you save a copy of your current like skill template and then create a second one. So you can have basically 2 sets of skills and stats on the same character and switch between them the default is every 12 hours. So like, for example, my blacksmith and miner, I created an Echo for him and dropped blacksmith and mining and picked up lumberjacking and carpentry and bowcraft. So where I used to only make like metal weapons and armor, now I can make bows and staves and furniture and stuff and just switch between the two. And it's a really neat system.
Does it switch your inventory also, or just your stats?
No, just your stats and your skills. So, and then you can play around with them separately. You can change your aspect if you wanted to. All this really cool stuff. But it's just a neat way to let you kind of continue to, I don't know, use the same kind of character, like focus in on one thing as opposed to trying to like spread yourself out like over broadly, which I kind of appreciate because speaking of respecting your time, to build up a whole new character and level it all up, you'd basically have to repeat the entire process, right?
Yeah.
Versus just copy paste, use the same thing. Now I'm good to go. And I've got my same blessed like spell book, so I can recall around, and I've got, I'm in the same guild and the same access to housing and all that kind of stuff, right? So.
And so if you switch back, can you just like switch back to your other profile and then just kind of pick up where you left off? Is that kind of
exactly? Yep, exactly. So like today, I was on my lumberjack just training him up, and someone in the guild needed some armor made, so I just switched back to my miner, my blacksmith, made him his armor, and I'll have to wait 12 hours to keep working my my carpentry, but whatever. That's kind of how it goes. So
right on.
Neat little thing I hadn't really played around with too much. The game, if you're listening and interested, they just released all of the Halloween content, including a new mini dungeon, which looks really cool. So I'll have to go check that out, called the Haunted Manor. But yeah,
That's
good stuff. So we're planning a little event with the orcs to do like a zombie orc, like
gonna do the thriller dance together.
Yeah, no, we're gonna do like a point defense thing to where the good guys have to fend off the zombies who come in waves and stuff. So it's gonna be kind of fun.
Nice.
Doing that in a couple of weeks. Probably be a stream on that come the 23rd of this month. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, that's what I've been playing is games that don't really respect your time too much. But I do appreciate Outlands. Outlands trying with some different things. Yeah, to change basically the mechanics of a 24-year-old game that was never really designed to respect your time. So
yeah, that is true. That is true.
That's what I've been playing.
Nice.
All right.
Playing this game of chicken with Dale. Go, Dale, go.
Okay. All right. Well, chicken is actually kind of appropriate for the game that I've been playing, which is called, it's a mouthful, Aeronautica Imperialis Flight Command. So,
man,
Aeronautica Imperialis.
I've actually played this game.
Then you know that it is a turn-based dogfighting simulator.
Ooh.
It's not really a simulator. It's just a turn-based dogfighting game where you control a squadron of either like fighters or bombers, or sometimes even just like transports. And you are up against the same, and you're running the type of mission that would be like, there's an air convoy, or there's a land convoy and an air convoy going through this valley, and you need to ambush them. So you'll set up your like 4 or 6 planes and then start the game, and then you're maneuvering to get bombing runs, or also to try to get to where you're tailing an enemy fighter and shoot them out of the sky and stuff. But again, this is turn-based, so it's not like you're not playing Ace Combat here. You're not playing War Thunder or anything like that. And it operates from a tactical view, not unlike a top-down. Of course, it is shown in 3D space, so you can kind of like rotate things around and see like the actual angle from the plane that you're controlling. But I often find it's easier to back out to this sort of like almost top-down.
Is there altitude? I mean, is it like a homeworld sort of thing? Where okay.
Yeah, there's altitude. There's, I don't know, probably at least 10 layers of altitude.
Oh wow.
Because when you move a plane, you have options. You can either do an approximately straightforward movement that you're queuing up your movement for the next turn. The interesting thing about this game, Jeremy, because I'm only talking to Jeremy here,
right?
Is that it's what they call a WeGo system. It's based on a tabletop game, and it's like both sides plan their moves, and then they all execute simultaneously.
It's right. So then it's So like if 2 guys shoot each other, they both die or whatever.
Yeah, but in the case of an aerial dogfighting game, it's like, well, I'm gonna angle left, and then like if he angles to the same side, then I can kind of get behind him. But if he goes the other way, then I might be screwed.
Right.
It's like,
so you have to think ahead a little bit about what is that guy going to do for the next turn, and how can I think ahead of what he's going to do to.
Yeah, I've now played probably, I don't know, like 7 or 8, maybe 10 missions, and the first few I was just like, what is going on? Like I just could not hit anything or whatever. But then slowly I'm kind of getting used to it, and it's basically like at the beginning of every turn, you like zoom out and you kind of get like a feel for like where all the planes are. Like this guy's obviously like, running interference to protect he's a fighter. He's going to protect that bomber that's kind of like over there on the other side of him from me. Right. And so you're thinking like, well, in order for him to do that, he can't stray too far away from his charge that he's protecting. So he's probably going to like, maybe kind of stay in this zone, right? And then, so that means I need to kind of go this way to get behind him. Either that, or I can like swing one guy around this way, like sort of in front, and then have another guy come from behind, like a pincer attack.
You mentioned tabletop stuff. This sounds a little bit like, because there's that X-Wing game that people like to play. I can't think of what it's called. X-Wing
Yeah,
riders or
I
something
think it's
like
just
that.
called X-Wing. You talking about
X-wing.
the tabletop game
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the
yeah.
mini
And
Mhm.
you can decide like, are you going to make
Yeah.
a 45-degree turn, a 90-degree turn? You have
Uh-huh.
to worry about like your
Yeah.
airspeed or
Yep.
whatever, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is based on the Games Workshop like answer to that game.
Yeah,
So
there's
Oh,
a
okay.
tabletop game of it. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, so
wow.
it's set in the like 40K universe. But you wouldn't know it because it's not like a ton of
Oh,
space
see, I
there.
didn't know that. This changes everything.
Oh yeah, but
No.
in this version of the game, in the PC version of the game, you're playing either as the Imperial Navy, which is like the normal humans, or the orcs, right? And but yeah, that game that it's based off of, and I think this is a fairly faithful adaptation of those rules. It's played on a hex grid. So all the movements of your planes are kind of like Sid Meier's Ace Patrol. You ever play that?
That's a really good game. I love that game.
That's a pretty cool
Yes, I
game. Yeah.
have played it.
Yeah. Now I'm talking to Jerod.
Yes.
So, Jerod, it reminded me a lot of Sid Meier's Ace Patrol, which is it's a hex based.
Mhm.
In that game, I think they're like World War One planes. I think roughly.
I think that. Well, I
World War II,
actually
maybe?
had two versions. I think it was a World War One and a World War Two.
Yeah, I know there was a sequel to the game, so maybe it was one of each. But yeah, so the types of movements that you can do are obviously kind of like what's feasible on a hex grid, right? So like you can either do like a barrel roll and like go one or two hexes over, or you can sort of do like a tight turn where you kind
Yep.
of move up a couple of hexes and then over a couple of hexes. Or because there is altitude involved, you can climb, or you can do what do they call it, like a pitch dive or
Descent.
something, like
Yeah.
a very steep descent.
Mm-hmm.
And then depending on the amount of G's that you pull, your pilots will get fatigued, or like they can even black out if you pull too many G's,
Yep.
right? So you got to make sure that you don't do too many tight maneuvers all in quick succession. You want to give them maybe a turn of just sort of like flying straight forward before you pull another crazy maneuver, right?
Mm-hmm.
But all in all, I think it's a pretty neat game. It's not entirely it's not a huge game. This is obviously a PC/mobile game, where
Oh.
it's fairly the rounds are fairly quick, like 10 minutes maybe. And because you're only moving around like anywhere from about 4 to 7 or 8 planes. And so far I've only had to control 3 types of planes on the Imperial side. So I have these Thunderbolt fighters, which it's a fighter jet, and then you have one that's called a Marauder bomber, which is it's a flying fortress style thing, and then you
Ooh.
have this lighter that is no guns at all. It's just a transport, and those are basically there to give you like your objective in this mission is to safely get this thing to a landing pad, have it go down, drop off or pick up cargo, and then lift off again, and then exfiltrate, or what do they call it, disengage off the map.
Right, right.
And so it's plays quick. It's got an ongoing campaign sort of thing, so that like when you start, you have this roster of I don't know, like 6 or 7 pilots, right? And then one of them is the ace. They have like a special passive buff because they're like a rank higher. And then as you go
Mm-hmm.
through missions, your guys will get experience based on how many kills they get, stuff like that. And then they can upgrade after the missions. It's a lot like the Blood Bowl system, where like after a game, if your guys did things and earned points, then they can roll a dice and get an upgrade based on whatever they roll, right? And a couple of the upgrades I've got will be like you have a bonus to hit if you are in altitude higher up than your target, or if you're tailing them, you get a bonus to hit, that sort of thing. So I don't know, it's pretty cool. It's what I thought was kind of interesting about it was just the like you don't know where they're going to be. You're moving at the same time they're moving, so you kind of have to take a best guess, and then also have contingency plans going.
I think it's
Yeah.
kind of cool that it's a little bit of. I mean, you could almost think of it. Everything is XCOM if you try hard enough, I guess. And so you
Sure.
almost could look at this and say, well, this is just a different. It's like XCOM with momentum or something. I mean, it becomes sort of like that 3D chess kind of idea with maybe more limited,
Yeah.
maybe move types, but you're still kind of
Yeah,
you're still playing that kind of game.
you are definitely grappling with the movements that you can make at any given time, because another thing that comes up is your airspeed. There's a couple of things you can adjust every time you make a move, and that's your altitude up or down, or your airspeed. Sometimes you can't really adjust that. For instance, if you're going to climb, you're going to slow down at the
Right.
same time. Um, I mean, if you're gonna dive, you're probably gonna speed up, right? And so there's basically like what you've done in the turns prior is gonna really eh, determine what you're able to do in the current turn. And so that's kind of why um your targets are often not stationary. They're moving around too, right? So sometimes it can be tough to line up a shot. Like you'll have a couple of turns in a row where it's just maneuvering and nobody's really firing shots. Or if they are, they're missing because they're not in the optimal part of the firing arc.
Yep.
That sort of
Is
stuff.
it,
Well, that's
do
cool.
you guys ever play the X-Wing board game?
No.
I mean,
Mm.
actually, no, I have. Actually, I have. I did
Seems
play
like
it once.
the combat might be like that, I
It,
guess.
Yeah.
it's
Maybe.
pretty similar. I mean, it's based off a board game that's very similar to that board game.
Oh,
So
okay.
Yeah.
So this is based
Yeah.
off of a board game as well. Did you
Mhm.
mention that? Sorry if I missed
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I did. It's based off of I actually picked up a copy of the board game version the other day because it was on sale. It was only $60 and you get like 7 miniature planes and like all the dice and the mat and all that stuff. So I was like,
Nice.
all right,
Oh, cool.
I'll try it out.
X-Wing is not you know how New World is not very doesn't respect your time. X-Wing doesn't respect your money.
Oh, dude,
Yeah, no doubt.
Not at
Those
all.
models.
dude.
Yeah.
You want
I mean, the
Warhammer
models are
40K.
badass, but
to
yeah.
talk about models not respecting your time or money. Oh man. Um, but yeah, this was fun. I've enjoyed playing it.
it's cool.
Cool. Well, this week I've been playing something also brand new out. I think it came out last week, and I think in fact, I forecast this after I played Scarlet Nexus. I said that the next thing that I wanted to play would be this, and I've decided to dig into Astria Ascending, which I don't remember if I mentioned it on the air last week, but it is a very vanillaware. George Kamatani, trying to think what some of the games are. I mean, Dragon's Crown, I think, is probably the last one.
Yeah.
And that was a while ago, even.
Odin Sphere? Is that one?
Odin Sphere, yeah. There's
Grim
there've been a
Grimoire.
few. Yeah, Grim Grimoire is another one. Good job, Dale. Where the idea
Is
is,
Odin Sphere on Xbox?
I don't think
Play
It
so.
was on
Xbox?
PS2 way back.
Odin
then.
Sphere. They came out with like an Odin Sphere Leaf Rouser or something like that. Like they came out with a different.
There was an Odin Sphere remaster a few years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this is sort of visually and maybe audio wise, audibly is kind orally, I guess, kind of in that wheelhouse, and that was enough to like really get me interested. Like I have always really appreciated just that art style. It's kind of cool.
The art's amazing in this game.
Yeah, in motion, it could be something that could either be fine or could underwhelm you a little bit because it kind of does this. The style of animation is it's like almost made of like little paper dolls, and they may have a hinge on the hip or something, and so when they walk, they kind of have a certain stilted sort of animation to them, or
It's
they
almost
might
like they took like an old pixel Final Fantasy turn-based game and then took like the little they had their little idle animations and then they made like
so
a more prettier version of that.
the,
right?
the title screen has a very Final Fantasy logo kind of look to it. Like you're going to be like, oh, this is kind of like Final Fantasy. Oh, this is kind of like Vanillaware, and it completely sucked me in. Like I'm like, okay, yeah, show me what you got here.
It's your krypton.
It is a little bit. The final product is pretty good, but I don't know. I don't know that it necessarily holds up perfectly to the production value of those other kinds of games. I mean, really, the music is really good, as you said. The art looks really good and is really capable. The animation is adequate. The voice acting sometimes is a little off. Like I think they could have stood to have like maybe a voice director or somebody who can. You know how when somebody delivers a weird line in a game and they say like, I wasn't wearing any pants anyway, or I mean something. They'll like say it kind of weird or something, and you're like, it was almost like they didn't know how the line that came before
They didn't
was
have the
delivered.
context. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I've noticed a lot of that in this, and I think production value wise, this kind of feels to me like there's probably a pretty capable indie studio somewhere that said we want to make a game that looks like that and sounds like that, and this is our budget or something like that. I would say. The game kind of goes between a couple of different modes. There's a kind of an overworld sort of idea, and it's a 2D side-scrolling, very, very simple platformer. Platforming only in the sense that if you want to get up somewhere, you've got to jump to get up to a place. There's not really a lot of challenge involved. The puzzles are typically going to be very light, which is kind of something like go over to this area of the dungeon, unlock this thing, and then remember where you came from another place and kind of go back there and unlock that. And if you do them in the right order, it lets you progress further into the dungeon or whatever. So in a way, it almost feels like it was kind of just a little too simple. Like maybe they could have just done without it, but I don't know what else you would do. You've got to get from A to B to C somehow here. Combat, like LeGrande said, is turn-based. You have a bespoke party, so you don't customize your own characters or anything like that. You have 8 characters, which at first I was like, whoa, that's way too many people to keep track of. But you sort of get to know them a little bit. Everybody is from a different race and they have a different class. It's not, Tolkien-esque. There aren't dwarves and elves and things like that. Everybody's like totally new kinds of things, which is good, but also then it's like, okay, this is some nonsense. Like
now I've got to learn all of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. And I'm like, it's just like a little too much. So I just kind of tried to ignore. I switched that part of my brain off. I was like, okay, whatever. You fish guys walking around in, dry ground wetsuits or whatever. And the combat itself is kind of neat. It almost reminds me of something like Bravely Default. And I don't know how JRPGs and stuff are these days, but usually there's
one.
Yeah, they kind of have like a gimmick, or it's like here's combat, but also we're gonna twist it just a little bit. And the twist in this is they have something that's called focus. And in most games like this, when you have combat, if you're fighting an ice monster and you have elemental attributes, you're gonna attack it with what? Fire, right? And usually you'll get like a critical hit. It'll do extra damage. In this, though, there are certain actions that you can take in battle or successes that you can have that will build up this focus meter. And it's a persistent meter, and you can spend it anytime on magic or combat attacks, and it will add in increments of 50% to the effectiveness of the thing that you're going to do. So if you attack somebody and get an elemental resist, you attack an elemental weakness, it'll build up one more tick meter on this focus gauge that you get. And then if you really want to unleash it, you can, at any point, you can tap the right bumper to build up, and you can add up to 4. So it goes 50, 100% extra, 150, 200% extra. So you can like level up your next attack. But conversely, if you attack somebody and it is ineffective, it will decrease that meter. And you can even go into the negative. So you have a meter like this, the enemies have a meter like this. And so you are kind of going back and forth dealing with this, I want to do a super critical attack and build up my meter, but oh no, if I get it wrong, or if they inflict me with some new elemental status ailment or something, like now I got to be careful because it's going to decrease my meter. And it kind of, the longer combat goes on, like the more risk you're kind of taking because stuff can just kind of go sideways. So in the same way that Bravely Default is all about try and just like one shot the enemy team before they can take a turn, here you can kind of do something similar, but you also have these 8 different characters that all have different classes and different abilities. Some of them are more magically oriented, some of them are more physical, some of them are defense based, some of them are magic fencing guys with elemental rapiers that you can change and all those kinds of things. And you can swap out your team at any time. You can only field 4 people on the combat screen at once, and you can switch anybody out for anybody else, but it takes that turn. So if you end up with fighting some bad guys, so as you the overworld, you'll encounter these things called noise. There's kind of this cockamamie story about harmony and noise and stuff. Don't worry about it. But you don't know what is going to be in that enemy group until you actually encounter them, and then you might find, I've got to, this is not the group that I want for this. I've got to switch some people out. And it's pretty fun. Like I appreciate the building up of this focus meter. And even if you're fighting against somebody you're not really spec'd to fight, you can sort of make up the difference with this this idea. So that in and of itself is pretty cool. I think story-wise, it's a little bit weak. You represent this 3-year party of demigods. Like there's this whole thing about, these are the defenders of our realm, but they only have 3 years and then they will die. The people, something like that. And so they're all like, our 3 years is almost up and we're going to die. And it's okay. It's kind of cool. But, and you travel to different areas that are sort of affiliated with each of these races. And, they've got family there and, you might meet somebody and there's the story, but the story never really, I don't really care that much, which is fine. I mean, I don't have to, but in a game like this, it's kind of nice. It's like that extra thing that puts it over the top. I think it is sufficiently fun to play. I think the overworld stuff is a little bit limp. Just the fact that they decided like, oh, we're gonna run around left and right, and you're gonna jump, so let's do some moderately interesting things with jumping. So in some ways there are some things that seem a little bit underwhelming, but overall though it is kind of cool mechanically and does some interesting things. It is really pretty. It sounds really good. Like the soundtrack, the music is really great. I don't know if it would hold your interest in and of itself. But you know, I mean, even thinking about the real Vanillaware stuff, I mean, Dragon's Crown is ultimately a really simple beat 'em up brawler kind of game. So I think this actually fits pretty well. I mean, if that is a lineup of games, you know, from a developer like Vanillaware that you are interested in, I think this as a sort of generic off-brand version of that, I think it actually holds up pretty well, especially if you have Game Pass. Again, it is free on Game Pass, and you know, it's worth at least trying out. And it again doesn't have a whole lot of tutorial time. There are some things that I haven't really talked about. I mean, they have a whole what was the sphere grid thing in Final Fantasy X? There's like a sphere grid leveling system. You can spend different points on adjacent tiles, and then each of the tiles you can kind of pick what you want to level up from that. So the characters are pretty customizable, even though they have preset classes and skills, and you can kind of make them your own in some ways. There's a whole add-on POG style additional board game, you know, that you can play. You can capture enemy characters and they become pieces on this sort of Othello Pachisi kind of board game that you can play. I tried to sort of skip that. I wasn't really interested. Yeah, I would say if turn-based combat is something that you're into and you like to look at some pretty environments and like to listen to some, you know, cool tinky music, yeah, I think this one is good for you. So this is Astria Ascending. It is on a lot of platforms. It's on Switch. It's on PlayStation. I, of course, played it on Xbox because it's on Game Pass. And, you know, I think I would probably rather play Scarlet Nexus than this. I mean, for the two that I played this last week of things that came out on Game Pass, I think that game is probably more interesting narratively and mechanically. But there have not been a lot of Vanillaware knockoff style titles, and so in that respect I think it is kind of interesting and kind of cool to see. So Astria Ascending, there you have it.
Awesome. Well, nice. We are done talking about video games, except for new releases, deals, updates, etc. We get our new releases from tech-gaming.com. Thank you, Robert, Desert Eagle Allen. So new releases this week: Back 4 Blood. We've talked about it. It's out.
I'm gonna play this.
If you want to shoot zombies,
just as of right now, like right now.
Well, there you go. Breaking news.
Let me check. It is recently added on Game Pass.
Nice.
I'm gonna be playing that.
Far Cry 6 out on everything. Go check it out. NHL 22.
It's like an every 2 year. It's like an every 2 year cycle for Far Cry, right?
Yeah, maybe 3 years. Something.
When did Far Cry 5? It's been a while, I think.
It's been a few years.
I think it's been 3 years, 3 or 4. Yeah.
Really? Already?
Seems like it.
Far Cry 5 was March 2018, so 3.5 years.
Wow, really? Dang.
I never played Far Cry. I haven't played a Far Cry game since Blood Dragon, boys.
I haven't played Far Cry since 2. Is that the one in Africa?
Yeah. God, Far Cry 2 is so good.
It was good.
I am considering picking this game up because
just re-release Far Cry.
Giancarlo Esposito.
3 years.
Yeah, sure. It looks cool. I don't know. I watched the review and I might be down for this. I don't know.
They seem like fun games.
I might be down to wait because Ubisoft games drop by about half in price in the 3 months.
They do drop in price pretty quick. Also out is NHL 22 for you sports aficionados. Disco Elysium, the final cut, is out now on Switch. If you've been waiting for that game to come out on Switch to pick it up, go check it out. Age of Darkness, the final stand, is out on PC. This is a very similar to They Are Billions. So if you enjoyed that game and want something kind of fresh in that vein, then check out Age of Darkness. And the Kickstarter, what do they call it? The multiplayer online game or something? Book of Travels is out now on PC in early access.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that one.
It looks super cool. I actually just bought it, so we're gonna check it out.
Oh, nice.
And,
All right.
maybe I'll report in next week on how I feel about it. So
Cool.
and then also out is Metroid Dread.
I've heard it's good. People like it.
People,
I want to play it, but I don't want to play it on the Switch. We had this conversation pre-show.
People tend to like Metroid games.
I really want to play it. I really want to buy a Switch game.
I'm glad there's another one of those out there.
Right.
really
Someone will buy it.
Don't know when.
Happy it
if I'll
exists.
play it, but
One of my brothers will buy a physical copy of it, and I'll borrow it.
You just steal it.
That's what I'm banking on.
All right. Well, you can also bank on these A+, Rad Switch and PC and Xbox game titles.com.
I found one that was only on Xbox, and it was too
It's
good
expanding.
to not put on there.
The scope is creeping.
I'm sorry.
We just have to keep buying these domains. It's getting expensive. I added this one, Business Tour Deluxe, which sounds like the most boring game I've ever heard in my life.
Business tour of all the kinds of tours you can take.
You like tour businesses? Like
there's the accounting office,
right?
There's the water cooler.
This is accounts payable, but Sally's only in office every 3 days. Also on our list is Pretty Girls Mahjong Solitaire.
This is for your grandpa's grandpa.
Yeah. So if you like Mahjong Solitaire, but also Pretty Girls, I guess this one's for you.
I mean, maybe.
Lord of the Click 2, which I think the most egregious thing about this is that it's actually the second in the series.
I kind of like this one. Like, I think that, I mean, clearly it's going to be like a one of those clicking games, but I just like that they're sort of very tongue in cheek about it. Lord of the Click.
All right. Well, and to round it out, No Longer Home.
Oh, the sequel to Gone Home.
No.
That's what I was thinking.
It's the right. It's the sequel
at the end of
to
that.
the
It like picks
sequel.
up right after Gone Home.
Yeah.
When she leaves.
You
Right.
leave.
No Longer Home. And it's a PC walking simulator.
Nice.
Deals and freebies. PC Building Simulator is free over on the Epic Game Store. If you haven't picked that up yet, go pick it up.
Yep.
If you want to, I guess, whatever. You're your own boss. Xbox Games with Gold. This is the same as we reported earlier, but just a reminder, the month is getting on. Aero is available October 1st through the 31st. It's like a rhythm spaceship flying game. Hover is available October 16th through November 15th, which is just getting really complicated. Jet Set Radio type game.
It's hard. Yeah.
Castlevania Harmony of Despair on the 360, available until the 15th of this month. So you really only have a few days. Resident Evil Code Veronica X on the 360, starting October 16th through the 31st.
Very good. Be aware of those. Get them for free. News. We got some news going on in the land of video games this week. And the biggest one, I think, is this big data breach that Twitch had. I guess they just spilled everything. Like, sometimes you'll hear that some companies are like, oh, they didn't get your credit card information, or, they only got the last names or whatever. Apparently, they got everything. Like, Twitch just like, just like, yeah. So,
use Twitch. Do I still have to go and change all my stuff?
Probably it's not a bad idea.
I changed my Amazon password and my Twitch password.
Yeah.
I mean, there's potentially some crossover there. So it's basically as bad as it could possibly be, is what experts have said about this. So some data was exposed on the internet due to an error in a Twitch server configuration that was subsequently accessed by a malicious third party. Their teams have been working with urgency to investigate the incident. As far as I can tell, the investigation is over, and essentially everything is bad. So Twitch is resetting all of your stream keys out of an abundance of caution. You'll need to get a new one that includes us, although I guess we're mostly on YouTube these days, so eat that, Twitch. You lost our exclusivity, so there. And just generally probably good for you to be aware that it is important to change your passwords regularly, and if you're a Twitch user, probably do that too.
Probably right away.
And I also kind of wonder if there's any exposure for all of those things that you've been linking, if you're like an Amazon Prime person, if your account linkage, I don't know. Anyway, just be aware of that. Look into that, and just be careful. I've got a couple of items over here on the legal beagle side of video games. An interesting twist. I swore that I wasn't going to talk about this anymore on the show, but there's an interesting twist that has come out of the Blizzard lawsuit from the state of California, which is that the entity in the state of California that is investigating and actually has successfully litigated, I guess, or prosecuted against Blizzard, is now itself the subject of a federal investigation or assertion that there have been sort of some untoward dealings by the legal team in that group. This is complicated, but in some way there was like a I guess sort of a what do they call that when you have a conflict of interest, I guess. And
Yeah.
I have to admit, I'm not exactly sure how this works out, but the EEOC, which is the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, is the state-based entity that has successfully litigated and gotten a settlement of $18 million with Blizzard. But the Department for Employment and Housing, which is a federal agency, the DFEH, has indicated that this settlement should not be pursued because of these ethics investigations at the state level. What they've actually said is that there are a couple of lawyers, specifically attorneys in the federal level, who have had leadership roles, previously served on the state entity, who helped to direct the investigation against Activision Blizzard. And it's just kind of a big mess. This whole thing is going to get complicated, and it was already kind of a mess. But I just found it kind of ironic and kind of funny, so I thought I would bring that this week. But,
Ironic and kind of funny.
ironic and kind of funny, a little bit entertaining. And finally, the latest on the Epic versus Apple case. Everybody is appealing. Apple. Sorry, I wanted to keep it up. Epic versus Apple. Apple has appealed
Apple
it. Epic
versus
has appealed it.
Eponos.
Yeah, that's a great song. I get that reference. And we've talked about this before, so there's not much to say about it, but it fell kind of in the middle of like nobody really got what they wanted totally, and everybody kind of got in trouble a little bit.
Right.
And so both of those entities, both Apple and Epic, are basically appealing the ruling, looking for more favorable outcome on their side. If you recall, Apple lost in the sense that they had to allow mobile apps to direct customers to outside payment method, meaning that those developers would be able to avoid the 15 to 30% fee that they normally are on the hook for to Apple. Epic basically won the ability to get that, but then Apple basically banned them from their store, and so they don't actually get to have that benefit. So in any case, both of those entities are seeking further redress. A couple of smaller news items. We talked a little bit about New World this week, and Amazon Games is feeling pretty bullish about this one. It's bullish. Yeah, bullish, not bearish. The CEO of Amazon Games, Andy Jassy, Jassy, I guess. Is that how you'd say that? Jassy? I don't know. And he has actually replaced Jeff Bezos as the CEO of Amazon. Says that he thinks that that games could potentially be the biggest growth sector for Amazon in the entertainment space, which I don't know. I guess we were feeling pretty good about New World for a week, and maybe now not so much. So I don't know. But Amazon has said that they are very happy with the result and the interest in New World since its release as their first successful game that they've launched. And so I guess we'll maybe see if they decide to pursue that and how long the favorable outcome for New World lasts. We talked also a little bit briefly, this might have been pre-show, about the Amazon Steam Deck. The Valve Steam Deck. Which is kind of like their answer to the handheld Nintendo Switch. Well, Valve did something kind of interesting. They actually did a video tearing down whatever model of Steam Deck they have available, basically showing you exactly what's inside of it, but sort of for the purposes of telling you, don't open this thing because it's probably not going to go well for you.
Well, what's inside of it then?
Yeah, so basically everything is essentially designed not to be taken apart. Essentially. So the narrator basically says, in one way, this is a how-to video, but in another way, it's a why you really shouldn't do this video. Even just opening the case could cause some serious damage. Yeah. And in some cases, you could actually be setting this console up to catch on fire at some point later. There are
Cool.
some, yeah, exactly. If you open this thing, you're basically taking some risks,
Smoke deck.
and potentially the the battery and some of those things are potentially deadly or harmful. They do show you how you could replace the SSD and the thumbsticks and everything that could go wrong in that process. The structural integrity of the piece could be impacted, and static electricity could fry the parts. A store-bought SSD could actually, the specifications on those things could cause problems in other parts. Yeah, it's a fairly inexpensive piece of hardware as far as things go, but essentially Valve is trying to say here that we know that the PC community out there likes to mod things. This particular piece of hardware does not exactly lend itself toward modability. The final item that we've got in our main news area is the passing of Koichi Sugiyama, who is the composer for the Dragon Quest series and has had his music.
Huh.
Yeah, his
I
music
hadn't
is
heard.
really. Yeah, yep. He's gone now, and this was on September 30th, so it's actually a little more than a week ago, and somehow we didn't get it on the show last week. But he contributed music for every mainline Dragon Quest game all the way back to 1986, and his music was featured even in that weird video gamey musical medley that they did for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics a little bit earlier this year. And he's also known for kind of some other things as sort of a denier of Japanese
Some
war crimes in
very,
World War II.
Right-wing militaristic Japanese politics.
Yeah. But anyway, as far as the creative product of Koichi Sugiyama, really kind of a cool legacy, and I think the Dragon Quest series has really been better for it, and the music of Dragon Quest also actually really well known. So there you have it. That is all the news that we've got this week, but we are not done quite yet. We're going to hit you up with a whole bunch of little tiny delectable newses from the speedrun. Start the music.
That's right. Pew, 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 pew. I don't remember what the music's supposed to be, but I'll start it off. People are mad about Marvel Avengers selling XP boosts, which I originally read as XP boots, which also they'd probably be
awesome.
That would be way
better.
better, actually.
Yeah,
XP
all right.
boots.
Yeah.
There we go.
Put on your XP boots.
That's it.
Randy Pitchford has reorganized Gearbox so that Randy Pitchford is still the head of Gearbox.
Nice.
They have done. Yeah, I know. If you're gonna do it, you might as well keep yourself at the top of the pile. What they've actually done is they've sort of spun off kind of an entertainment studio. Pitchford is going to be looking into
Industry
additional. Yeah, movies and all kinds of things like that. I mean, I know the Borderlands movie is coming out at some point, but I guess they're looking into
maybe he's trying to buy for the Fortnite movie.
Oh my gosh!
Epic's considering a Fortnite movie.
Oh my gosh! Who would have thought?
Whatever. I mean, they made an emoji movie. Whatever.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
Well, I guess.
I skipped the Rocksmith.
GTA,
I skipped the Rocksmith.
GTA Remastered Trilogy, long rumored, actually, finally been announced. And the old versions are bye-bye. Are they already gone? I know.
I think they're going to be delisted. I actually find it weird that they would call this a trilogy. Like this series now has 5 entries in it, plus like little spin-off ones. I guess
the PS2 trilogy.
This is the remastered.
They're not even related to each other. Really.
The PS2 trilogy. They're on the PlayStation.
Yes, so whatever.
Well, when Rockstar could put out games every other year.
Well, right. Ubisoft is delisting the Rocksmith trilogy next week. Well, here's the thing. So Rocksmith Plus is coming out. If you already have Rocksmith, you can keep using it. And I actually know somebody who just for his birthday last month got a copy of the original Rocksmith. So they won't have it available for sale, but you can still play the version that you've got. I do not know if DLC.
Yeah, they have it on PlayStation 3, don't they?
Yeah,
PlayStation.
Yeah, absolutely. But of course, Rocksmith Plus coming at some point in the future, but they've held it back a little ways for feedback from the beta that they did that we talked about on the show.
Feedback is too expensive.
Also, speaking of feedback, UK
I believe in you.
thieves steal 180,000 pounds worth of cars using a hacked Game Boy.
Whoa!
Go on.
Those are some heavy cars.
Yeah.
How does this work? I need to see the heist movie.
Yeah, so basically what it does is it sort of mirrors the short-range frequencies of a key fob. And so they were able to, I guess, mod the thing so that they could basically, if you can get into the car, they would use the...
is a good...
Breaking news. Nintendo's considering a Game Boy hacking car stealing movie.
Oh, wouldn't that be awesome? Like the health sensor is coming back and you're going to be able to...
It's a Fast and Furious prequel, you know, like instead of you're stealing like boxes of DVDs in the first Fast and Furious movie, they're like using Game Boys to steal.
That'd be awesome. I would watch
Gone
that
in
movie.
60 Seconds Game Boy Edition.
Oh, that's good.
On in 8 bits. All right, I'm done.
PlayStation 3 and Vita stores will no longer accept PayPal. If you,
I think they probably had that. They probably had that planned. I'm sure they pay something to PayPal for.
So the actual headline says Jeremy as the only user of this service.
I do actually. I actually buy all of my PSN stuff through PayPal. I do because the credit card stuff never works. It gets denied all the time, and I can't figure out why.
I just mean Vita. All right. I don't know. Hacker learns can unlink your Oculus from Facebook, but it breaks things.
Yeah, especially since Facebook went down. Was it last week? Like for almost a whole day.
Outage.
And yeah, so you can apparently decouple your Facebook credentials from your Oculus Quest 2, but all of the features that are tied into that, I guess, are disabled.
GOG.com briefly decoupled themselves from the Hitman Game of the Year edition that they released with DRM against like main, you know, what do you call that? Like your
the raison d'etre.
Your
mission statement.
Better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a scandal. Absolute.
Then they got review bombed. So they had to pull it
And
back.
then they apologized and were like, "Oh yeah, we're sorry." Pulled it off. Like what?
Yep. That's it. No Hitman for you.
That's it.
I'll buy it on like all the other platforms that have it.
Yeah, I think LeGrande should do
these last two
ones.
super suck.
Go for it.
Sora from Kingdom Hearts will be the last Smash Brothers fighter on Nintendo Switch.
On my copies.
No, that's pretty good. Well, and then also Nintendo announced along with that, which I think this is actually kind of cool, is that Kingdom Hearts, every version going all the way back, the remix 1.5, 2.8, whatever they all are. Those are both actual numbers for Kingdom Hearts. I believe that those are the actual titles.
So much.
They will be released on the Nintendo Switch via the power of cloud stream gaming tech and also the power of believing in your heart.
What a waste of bandwidth, you know?
I agree.
If you grow up, that's what I say.
That's
Look, for all of our listeners who like Kingdom of Hearts, we love you. I'm just saying there's other games. Look around.
That's true. That's true. Folks, that is the end of our speed run. That is the end of this episode of your Game Bytes Show podcast. I want to thank you very much for making it all the way to the end with us. I want to thank my co-host for being here this evening. And if you have any comments, any thoughts about the games that we played, any of the news that we reported on, anything that we missed, anything that's going on out there that is making a splash that you want to tell us about, find us on social media. Tell us all about that. You can find us collectively on Twitter. We are at Game Bytes Show there. You can find us individually. I am at Jeremy_Lamont.
You can find me at LeGrande.
I am at Count Elmdor.
I'm at Red_I.
If you're watching us live, you must be at youtube.com/GameByteShow. We're doing this once a week live. You can also find it in syndication over at GameByteShow.com. That's where we get the real director's cut version. Yeah, you can also watch our back catalog of podcasts that we're starting to build up slowly on YouTube as well as over at GameByteShow.com. And of course, there are lots of streaming there. I mean,
some of you have audio.
That's right. Every once in a while, we'll do it. Every once in a while. And then, we might jump on sometimes to play some games and exhibit a little bit about what we're playing on. X's going to give it to you. But of course, if you find us over at GameByteShow.com, you can find a link there to our Discord server. Come join us and hang out on a day-to-day basis and, bounce some things off us that you find on the internet. We got some memes over there. We'll find those real hot, short-lived freebies as they pop up. So come hang out with us there on Discord. And of course, we'll be back in just a week to talk to you about the games that we've been playing, the news that's going on out in the world, new releases, freebies, all kinds of things on this Game Bytes Show podcast. But until then, folks, this has been your show. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.